Hey everyone, Tyler here at The Movie Beat, back with another Korean movie review. I checked out SAMJIN Company English Class, directed by Lee Jong-pil, who wrote and directed The Sound of a Flower, that one that starred Suji. This one stars Go-ah-sun, Esom, Park Hye-soo, and Cho Hyun-chul. I just got to start out this one by saying a little bit of history because it was a little bit jarring for me at first trying to get into the setting of this movie. It does take place in 1995. I was not living here at the time, but there are some similarities that I can relate to, and others I asked some of my friends about. This movie portrays company life for a group of women in a way that has for the most part fallen out of fashion today, but does still exist. The ladies in this film work for a big company that their role at the company is typically filled by high school graduates that do not have any sort of university experience. And I do believe there were specific high schools that a lot of women would go to after they graduate to enter this kind of a job as a up and coming career woman. At the time, I think it was a little bit frowned upon for women to go to university, unfortunately. So their roles at the company are mostly respected, but they're in this kind of secretarial or janitorial role. It looks, they do some custodial work and things like that. So they spend a lot of their days preparing coffee or changing ashtrays for a lot of the businessmen, providing fresh packs of cigarettes. So it is a little bit weird looking back on it. But that's sort of part of the nostalgia that's supposed to play into this movie. So this movie, SAMJIN Company English Class. SAMJIN is one such company that has this large staff of these aspiring career women in that position. So let's go into the story a little bit here. Working in Product Management Department 3, Ji-young, played by Go-ah-sun, keeps the office running smoothly with her positive outlook and resourcefulness, but is simply known for being an instant coffee brewmaster. Over in the marketing department, the straightforward Yuna, played by Esom, is used to bail out struggling ad campaigns with her hard-hitting one-liners that save the day. Finally, the mathematical Olympiad champion, Bodam, played by Park Hye-soo, finds her math wizardry being used to fill out fake receipts in the accounting department. The ladies enjoy beer after work together and share in the dream of finding themselves in a better position at the company one day. In their 8th year, SAMJIN begins to offer promotions to those who score a 600 or higher on standardized English tests. This is an excellent chance for the ladies to elevate themselves into a base-level job at the big company. One day, Ji-young learns her company SAMJIN may be responsible for a hazardous chemical leak running off into the nearby countryside. When the results of the company-sponsored laboratory appear doctored, she suspects a cover-up. With the help of her friends, Yuna and Bodam, the three ladies utilize their wit and determination to uncover the truth. Their efforts put their futures at the company at risk as a wave of turmoil is sent roaring through the company that splashes up to the highest levels of management. So one thing going into this movie, I was anticipating a bit more of an emphasis on this English class situation. I mean, it's in the English title, and the Korean title, the actual test they're taking is called TOEIC. And it's one test that I used to teach to a lot of Korean students, and it's a score that is highly valued for showing English proficiency, even though some people that get really high scores on this can't speak a lick of English. It's just sort of part of the game of these standardized tests, a lot of rote memorization and whatnot. Anyways, the girls at this company are in one of these little TOEIC classes that's being taught by an English teacher, and it's kind of funny. I don't know how many people are going to catch this abroad, but the English teacher in the class, his name is Tyler, and his real name, and not in the movie, but he's a guy who's very well known. Probably every Korean person knows this guy. He's got really good Korean. He's in a lot of variety shows. He was a regular on this one show in particular. But you see him in advertisements and whatnot. Anyways, I thought the movie was really going to be more about that, but really it turns out that that's just a small part of this movie, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And unless you're coming into this movie with little to no knowledge of movies like Erin Brockovich or the recent Dark Water, that whole story of the little guy really taking down the powerful and shady polluting company that, they've got to resort to like their own detective measures to take him down. The story here is really familiar, but thankfully the best aspect of this movie, SAMJIN Company English Class, is the colorful and lively recreation of mid-90s Korea and the whole work culture and what society sort of looked like in general. And there's a lot of really good performances from the lead actors. But the film really does have an attractive, rich color palette that I noticed immediately. So from the very beginning of the movie, there's a lot of energy in this movie, and I was like, this is going to be awesome. Awesome retro vibe. There's no smartphones anywhere or other modern tech. The girls have to employ real classic investigative techniques, like sneaking into hotel rooms or imitating people on the phone, intercepting faxes and whatnot. So for me, that was the best part of this movie, just that whole vibe and look. And as far as the actresses go, I have to say up front, actress Esom, who I highly recommend you guys check out her movie Microhabitat or Scarlet Innocence. She is a personal favorite actress of mine, so I might be a little bit biased when saying that as the character Yuna, she was the best character for me in this movie. Really happy with her performance, just as a fan of hers. But everything from her hairstyle to the strong personality that her character carries herself with, she, for me, came off as the best representative for the various female employees that, in that role. Go Ah-sung from The Host or A Resistance plays probably the most central character in this film. She's very ambitious. She drives the narrative. She's got this heart of gold, and she's just really brave and wants to see justice through. So I really thought her performance was impressive, and as a very strong anchor for the trio. Her character, for me, Ji-young, just comes across as a bit too perfect of a character to totally sell it to me, but, I get it. That's just sort of a taste thing. But the actress Park Hye-soo, who I saw in Swing Kids, who I didn't even recognize in this role from, about halfway through. I'm just like, is that her? She is pretty good as well because she provides a good mix of laughs and drama. A lot of the melodrama in this movie does come through her role. She's got this really great relationship with one of her senior coworkers who's leaving the company, sort of a mentor to her. That was really nice to see, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that in this film, especially maybe on the Korean side. I've heard a lot of stories like that of, really difficult work life, but there was that one person that they worked with that really helped them out and sort of guided them through and learning how to adapt and everything. But like I said, the most surprising thing about this movie was just how much of a role that the English language actually plays or does not play in this movie. They do use that English class and speak some English lines here and there to bring a specific level of charm or identity to this movie, but it really does only play a minor role in the story. And without giving away any spoilers, the English lessons just really become part of this bigger narrative of globalization and the sort of new direction that Korean companies had begun to take at the time. But I, for one, just being a Westerner, so a lot of people are probably going to see this differently than me, I did not like the tint that they put on this. And it's like in that movie Black Money, but the way that the Westerners or other bigger foreign investment plans into Korea is portrayed come off to me as so cartoonish. It felt embarrassing at best and advancing negative stereotypes at worst, because these guys just come across as heartless. They just want to take Korea for everything it's worth. And when you have these B-grade actors, no offense to anyone out there, speaking lines like, "Hey, where's the McDonald's?" and "Come with us, babe, it's going to be fun," and, grabbing asses or grabbing women's arms in the hallways. Regardless of how true that can be, I was facepalming. And for me, it was much like the over-the-top Donald Trump portrayal in Steel Rain 2 Summit. I feel like the filmmakers in some of these films that cast that Western audience and do the dialogue and everything, they really make decisions that run counterintuitive to really successfully expanding Korean films and products into global markets, especially at Western side. It just does not look or sound good. And I tried explaining like how I felt about this to my Korean friend. And I told them it was like if you watched the live action Disney movie of Aladdin and there was a Korean character in it that was just always at the PC room and saying Shiba all the time. It's like, this is supposed to be a family movie, and maybe that doesn't come across in the subtitles, which it definitely doesn't. And I can kind of relate it to when Black Panther came out here and they had that scene in Busan, and there's this older Korean woman outside and she speaks some Korean lines, and the whole theater I was in with was either laughing or facepalming because they were like, what was that? It was like, did they get any sort of Korean advisor in that role? Kind of like that. So this movie does have a lot of that towards the end, and I was just like, no. I don't think it's a great image, regardless of how true it is. So enough with that. But I think overall, this movie, SAMJIN Company English Class, was really an enjoyable watch. It was just a fun movie to just sit through. I was never really bored, but never super entertained, because it does follow those traditional whistleblower story beats. And with that, you know, real familiar story, and they nailed the mid-90s vibe in this one. I was like, this movie really could pass as a movie that came out 25 years ago if it didn't have all of the nice glisten and glam of modern technology filmmaking techniques, because this movie looks gorgeous. So I do feel like it does disappoint with a little bit of some nationalistic overtones towards the end of this one, and it kind of had an underwhelming final message. But this one is going to appeal to a wide audience, and I think that's based on just how entertaining the actresses mainly in this one are, as well as how lush of a blast from the past visual style it gives off. So for that, I gotta rate SAMJIN Company English Class 6.5 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think of this one when you do end up seeing it. One really awesome thing that made this experience so much better is I got this great art card from after watching it at Lotte Cinema. This is another one that was designed by Plain Archive, and it's really cool because it gives that retro look. It's sort of like these little sprites, maybe an old video game type digital look to it. You got the three main ladies there, and it just sort of looks like a Nintendo like title there. Actors' names on the top, and the back with the signatures is always great. There's my favorite actresses there, Esom. You've got some of the quotes from the movie, I can do it, you can do it, we can do it, we are great, or, you know, I'm not using their pronunciation or anything, but excellent art card again, so I can always remember this experience with this one. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching again. If you do like this content and you want to see more like it, please like and subscribe. Lets me know to just kind of keep going with this and keep providing what I think is fun to make, and hopefully people are enjoying it out there. So thanks again, everybody. I'm Tyler at The Movie Beat. Keep watching movies.